All right.
Okay, and then screen share.
Look at you.
And then here.
Go ahead, girl. Way to go.
All right. So the way to do it. So just briefly, I want to go back and touch on what we talked about before, which is with Jesus and for Jesus. Well, in the intro of it it's stated that the Spirit book, Allan Kardec, makes a meaningful statement. Communications between the spirit world and the corporal world belong to nature itself, and there's nothing supernatural about them. And it also says that that is why we have found traces of such communication among all cultures throughout history. And that's true. We've always heard about somebody being able to talk to someone in the spirit world. Let's see, the other thing was about, we were talking about the codifications of the spirit books that Allan Kardec helped write with the spirits. And then it was about whether or not you were able to retain any information that you read, from the teachings that Jesus has left us with. There was complaints about people not being able to remember. And so they were saying one of the best things to do is to meditate on Jesus's teachings in order for you to be able to retain what you're learning. And so, let me see if that was it. Yep, that's pretty much it. Because of the complainer here that didn't remember. And they said you have to spend enough time meditating on it, on whatever it is that you're trying to retain. So let's get to it. Is somebody want to volunteer reading, or I'll read first and then someone else can help, or whatever?
I'll read.
Okay, go.
Let the same sentiment there be in you as was in Jesus Christ. Everyone does something in life, but there are very few who do not have to return to the flesh to undo what they have done. Even lazy people who have spent their lives in uselessness and idleness have to return to struggle in order to clear away the web of inertia that they have woven around themselves. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because I think this is
people that are lazy and useless.
Yeah, well, and then they don't get it. They think it's a passage. It's okay to be lazy and useless. Don't you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like not having any motivation or anything for them to get them to motivate and move.
Mm-hmm.
Only those inspired by Jesus' standards for doing good can conduct their lives in such a way that they will not have to make reparations or corrections later on. Doing something in Christ means always doing the best for everybody, without expecting any kind of payment, without demanding anything, without putting on a show, without displaying superiority, without expecting acknowledgement, and without causing trouble.
So these are different, in my opinion, I look at this and see different types of personalities also intertwined with this. And for sure, lack of spiritual knowledge, because most people feel that give me because I gave you, or do something for me because I did this and that for you, is still same. And or either it's a learned behavior where they're always being told what to do, how to do it, and so you grow up with that same behavior. Still, again, it's without being charitable.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It speaks charity.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think that when you do display superiority, that's pride, don't you think?
Or narcissism.
Oh, no. Okay.
And you know, there's something buried. I just thinking broader. There's something buried in that intro statement. Doing something in Christ means always doing the best for everybody. And then you have all these without statements. But in that phrase, always doing the best for everybody, I think wrapped up in that is what this chapter began with, and that is this inertia, this need to have energy, this need to elevate consciousness and recognize you have a responsibility to do certain things without expecting any kind of payment, without demanding anything. But there is a responsibility to contribute, you know, in some way, you know, pay your fair share, earn your keep. I mean, you know, a whole variety of different phrases that contribute to the betterment of the world, mankind, an evening, a balancing. And so in that phrase of doing your best is all this other stuff, you know, of responsibility and initiative and lack of laziness and so on.
Yeah. And also, you know, would you do something for someone you don't know? Or does it have to be, or without it being your employment, you know?
Correct.
Yeah.
You know.
But some people just by nature are that way. And other people, they may know what they're supposed to be doing or spiritual or whatever you want to call it, and they don't do it anyway. So, I mean, you can have the knowledge, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be applied. And I know people.
And that goes back to that inertia, right?
Right.
Sluggishness, laziness.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's plenty of social experiments on the internet today that show the visual evidence of somebody walking down a busy street with a bag, you know, with an armful of groceries or whatever, and the bag breaks. How many people just walk by without helping? You know, like I said, always doing the best for everybody, you know, just to recognize an opportunity, a responsibility.
I mean, even those things that are on there, it just speaks big egos also.
That too. That too.
Yeah.
Better than.
Well, that came under, what was that? Narcissism, didn't it?
Yeah, that too. Yeah. With every step the Divine Master took, we see him detachedly involved in continuous activity on behalf of the individual and the community. From the carpenter's shop in Nazareth to the cross in Jerusalem, he spreads the good without any payment other than the joy of doing his Father's will. He extols the widow's mite and praises Zacharias' fortune with the same serenity. He talks lovingly with children and multiplies the loaves for thousands of people without changing who he was. He raises Lazarus from the tomb and walks to his doom with his attention focused on the heavenly designs.
Well, I think you have to be.
That was what it was saying before. He spreads the good without any payment other than the joy. Well, that's mainly reason Jesus came to teach us and model for us.
Can you imagine being that way? But we've had examples of people being this way, like Sister Teresa, Molly, Gandhi, You know, we've had, I mean, you know, we've had people showing us this behavior and keeping focused on God while they did their mission, you know. And I think it's a beautiful thing, you know, to not lose your space and stay in peace, you know. The widow's mite, what is that?
He extols the widow's mite. There's a passage somewhere about a widow. Which one?
Mm-hmm.
I know Zacchaeus. I know that story.
You said what?
I know the second part of that. I know the Zacchaeus story. Zacchaeus was the tax collector that climbed the tree.
Mm-hmm. They claim a treaty.
No. Zacchaeus was the tax collector. Nobody liked him. But when Jesus came, he climbed the tree because he wanted to see Jesus. And Zacchaeus called him down and said, "Take me to your home and I will stay with you." And nobody could understand how he could do that. And Zacchaeus ended up giving away his fortune.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember the widow's mite.
It says here it's a small monetary contribution from someone who is poor.
Okay, same. It's in the same section of the Bible. It's when the widow had nothing to give and still gave. Mm-hmm. You know, whatever the smallest denomination was, that's all she had, and she still gave it.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah. Wow. I mean, can we do that? I mean, if you had all that today, knowing what you know, could you do that? Give your last dollar, your last $5, knowing that you have nothing at home, you need gas in your car. Could you do that?
That's a great question.
I mean, to me, that's the same. It's the same scenario. This woman had nothing, but she still gave all she had. And talking to children with love, lovingly, with children multiplies the loaves of the fish and the loaves for thousands of people. And you know, I was reading where it says that even though Jesus spoke a lot of parables back in those days, he did it because he knew at a later time we would grow into what we needed to know. And for those that then they couldn't have understood it either way. You know, they took what they could, and from what his teachings were. But also I wanted to say that a lot of what do you call those things? They call them miracles, but he calls them something else. It's another word that you would say where these extraordinary things happen. And they were saying that a lot of these things are for people who don't have that faith or who don't automatically believe, you know, so they need proof. So they get to see these different things, I don't know, paper flying in the air or you know, some miracle. They need to have some visual sense of what's going on. I can't remember what that word is though.
Well, just consider in the Old Testament the parting of the sea. Moses parting of the sea. Talk about visual proof.
Yeah.
You know, at least as it's been depicted in the movies, but you know, the believers walked through that passage of the water. That had to be, you know, unbelievable proof.
And trust.
And yet,
you're going to walk.
And yet, they are humans. They fell back.
Well, I have to admit that when I very first time I went to BSH, what had me come back, the only thing that had me go back was prayer, because we said a lot of prayer, and I said, okay, I could do that, because prayer is a big part of my life.
Mm-hmm. So, and I get that, yeah.
Other than that, I don't know what have happened. But
I get that, because I feel like prayer is a divine connection. Mm. That's how I visualized when I was listening to all those prayers. But I think too, what blew it all together for me was when I went to see John of God years and years ago, and they were praying lots and lots of prayers. Mm-hmm. And I was going also to dispel witchcraft, voodoo, all this kind of stuff. I wanted that out of my space. I just didn't believe that was the only thing that existed. And I'm so thankful I went. Gosh, am I thankful I went.
The person that took me, she just said, nah, that she just like didn't believe it, and she didn't return anymore. She just, that for her was, she said, nah, mm-hmm. That's not, I don't even know what she thought it was, but she didn't go back.
Well, even in here, they were saying, you can't have where you're not, if you're not there, you can't have it. Each lifetime brings us closer to divinity. Each lifetime gives us much more experience, and that experience is taking us to our next step. And we cannot jump the broom before it's time. We just can't. So even though we all went to church and we knew about God, the setting that you go and learn somewhere else about God could be completely different. Just like Sonia was saying, if it wasn't for the fact that they were saying prayer, which was, it was a homing beacon, in my opinion, that felt comfortable, that said, okay, God lives here, allowed her to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you don't have that feeling of love of God in the house, it's vacant. It doesn't, you're not coming. Especially if this is where you're supposed to be. You need to be there. But all of this here stuff about spirituality is teaching us, like Jesus said, he wants us to learn that there's life after death. But there's more to that. It's not just life after death. There's different levels of life after death, just like there's different levels of life that we live. We got the poor, we got middle class, we got the rich, we got the mega rich, we got the dirt poor, and we have mediums, people who are very clairvoyant. We have spiritual people who are even blind, can still be, clairvoyant and see and know. I mean, like they said, this is for everybody. It's for everybody. When the spirits fanned out, they fanned out everywhere. Wasn't exclusive.
Like you said, people have to be ready for it, because if you're not ready, then, because I think things don't happen by accident, is right. Everything is in right divine order. So things don't happen by accident, just like her inviting me. I mean, she never went back, but I did. So, here we are, all these years later. So that's what I think.
Yes.
Along the unending line of your days and hours, do not forget to act for the common good. However, so that illusion does strike you with the gall of disenchantment or loneliness, help everyone indiscriminately, and above all else, hold on to the glory of being useful, so that the same sentiment may be in you as was in Jesus Christ. Is the word not missing? Should that sentence read, however, so that illusion does not strike you with the gall?
That's what I was thinking earlier when I read it. I had to go back. I said, however.
I think the knot is missing. So that illusion.
That's not, yeah, because that's what they don't want you to be enchanted.
Exactly. You stay focused on giving.
Yeah, and loving, being, yeah, like Jesus. I mean, Jesus was, was so loving and giving. It's just amazing. And I'm glad we're reading that, the good news on Monday night, because I really do hope they do a story about some of the other things that Jesus did while he was here. Because can you imagine? Zillions of people got healed by him. Zillions of people got knowledge from him, and it is important to not be fall into prey to illusion about somebody, a person being closer to God just because they are working with mentors that can help heal, or they have their clairvoyance is good, and because they have a great clairvoyance, they think they the right hand of God. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's all kinds of people like that,
Well, the natural tendency to elevate leadership onto a pedestal and then rejoice when they fall. They're all human. There are no perfect beings anymore. We already had that.
And then there was the folks that didn't believe the miracles that Jesus did. And that's why they were asked his crucifixion too. But like I said, it was all planned out already. And his resignation, that was all, and he knew that. And I mean, I can't even imagine at all what that would have been like.
No.
Do you think that, in those days, life was all about what are you going to do today to put enough food in your belly so that you see the sunrise tomorrow? And if you're a parent, what are you going to do for your children so that they see the sunrise tomorrow? It was all about existence, material gain. I think, and the advanced society and all the social ills that come with that and so on, that didn't happen for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Are you meaning that
in the time of
it
Jesus
continued to happen?
I'm saying in the time of Jesus, you had this survival mindset, just barely the way I heard it said by an anthropologist is barely better than a barbarianism approach. At least there was an element of human to human respect.
I personally don't think that it just happened in that time. I think it, even in our own time before, because for different reasons, but.
Well, I think what Spiritism has helped me to understand is our expectations of this much time has elapsed and we're still this undeveloped, Yeah, we are. Yeah. How many times do we have to come back before we start elevating,
Yeah, I mean, it's like the crazy thing is like, God has given us this beautiful planet, enough water for everybody to have clean, decent water, enough food for everybody to have clean, decent food. But I wanted to say this, back in those days, there were a lot more vegetarians, it seems to me, back then, so they had to have fruit trees and nut trees and gardens,
crops.
Crops. Everybody had to have a garden.
Well,
and but those who were like travelers were at the mercy of whomever they came across to feed them. As they say, they had the beggars. We still got them. We still have a homeless, and they had them too. You know, they always called them beggars, but I see them in a different vision now, that we have homeless people, because we never know what the circumstances were that caused them to have to be on the street. We don't know. You know, they might have got kicked out of another city, you know, and had to land there. Who knows? And like now we know the damage we're doing to this beautiful planet and our ecosystem, you know, and they still pumping out all these chemicals. And like you were saying, Mark, you know, when do we grow?
Yeah.
It's all about money and materialistic.
Still.
Yeah, and it's like, really? You guys don't see that there's no end to how much money you have, and you don't see that you're not going to live forever.
Although I am appreciative of the benevolence that's starting to take place in a grand way. You know, what's her name that divorced her billionaire husband? Husband. The one that's giving away the billions these days. It's not Elon Musk's wife, it's the other one. Bezos's wife, Amazon's, the woman who divorced the founder of Amazon. Yeah, she just gave away $2.6 billion. To
who?
Well, you know, what she's doing is she's educating people on how to do this. She's not giving them to one specific entity.
Mm-hmm.
She has a team of people that researches people who are doing things for underprivileged children, women, minority groups, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of the blue, she calls them and says, I'm going to be sending you some money. And, you know, changes that nonprofit's entire future. You know, she just dropped $3 million in the city of Boston for 3 different charitable organizations managed by a cooperative. But, you know, they're servicing people, homeless, indigents, people who affected by the pandemic, you know, basic food and water and healthcare and that type of thing.
We should apply for a grant.
Well, there's all kinds of money that's available. Anyway.
Wow.
BSA should apply for a grant.
Well, we would have to do a community-focused activity for a grant to be issued.
The way to do it, that's what it says, the way to do it. Mm-hmm. So I think the number one thing is to remember or to look at why we're here. Why are you suffering? And is it an expiation? Is it something you are choosing to learn from? And how well are you, if you were to evaluate your struggle, success, or whatever it is you're going through, how would you evaluate you? Would you say that you're not a complainer? You're not complaining about your struggle, because those are where you get the extra brownie points when you don't complain. And I don't know any of us who got to that point yet, but I'm just saying. But it's good to know that, you know, to even remind yourself when somebody does something to you that you don't like, offensive, or say something offensive, are you able to not cuss them out? Yeah, well, that's a good word, react.
I will say this, I'm a whole lot better at not speaking at all.
You say better. That's good.
You know,
but,
it's Kiki's mouthful of water technique, you know.
So as we get older, we get wiser. What I was going to say too was like Kelsey, my daughter-in-law's sister, who she died at 35 of cancer and left her 2 children very young. And the comment you made about, well, maybe that happened because she came to teach her family something, which, you know, we don't know. So that there's, I guess, reasons you can say it happens, but we don't know. So anyway, even though
and I think each person's family has something.
Of course.
Whether, you know, each family, you know, whether it's mental illness, whether it's, I don't know, cancer, whether it's adoption or lack of love or dysfunctional family, alcohol, whatever. I think each person's family has something going on.
That's why they call life a school.
Yeah, but can you take what's going on without putting on a show like they're asking us here, or demanding anything? Let me see if I can go back and pull that up.
Not if you're narcissistic, you can't. Or egotistical.
Okay, let's go back. Oop,
right there.
Right there.
Gina, may I tell you a story?
Sure.
Yes, and as you said, that the best giveaway is when you need something and somebody asks for that and need that, you give it away. That is the best giving. But I have a true story to tell you. One teacher, I know him personally too, is about 70 years ago, the story. And he became a teacher, the new teacher in a rural area. And by the new year, he got $100 for his salary. And then at the night, they were sitting together. He heard that dad said to mom, what we can do tomorrow, the people, the young children and the grandchildren, they are coming to us and we have to give them some gift. I don't have any money. And he had $100 for his salary. And in the morning when his father early in the morning came from the farm, he put the money on his shoes and kissed his feet. And he said, that is for the children and grandchildren. And after the school were open, after the holidays, he went to school. And the chef of the school said, you have some reward money here. Come to my office. When he went there, he gave a pocket and that was $900. He called him and said, oh, is it for me? He said, yes, but I thought it should be $1,000. The chef said, I don't know, maybe the people who took it here, they took $100. Tomorrow come to me and I will ask them and answer you. And tomorrow when he goes to the school, the chef says, how did you know that it should be 1,000 and not the 900? Said, because I have heard when you give away something in the name of God, you will take 10 times more. And he said, yes, it was 1,000 and the postman, they took $100 for himself. You know, I have heard that too. That is, when you give away something that you really needed and without any condition, any to expect that you get it back, and you don't think about anything, then you will get 10 times more. Yeah. I have another story too, but I don't want to take your time. Is it okay?
That was nice. That's a nice story, actually. Well, we're here to
is it that in a Christian that when you give something, you get 10 times more? When you give something?
I've never heard it added up, but I heard something like that before. But, you know, I always looked at it as whatever God chooses to bless me with. That's how I always saw it. But, you know.
Yeah. But I have myself experience when I give something away that I need it and I wish to keep it for myself. When I give it away, really somebody brings it to me. It happened to me several times, many times. You know, I gave it something away, and the other, for example, I gave money, and I got more money back from somebody else.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't expect it because I gave a long time ago. I forgot about that I gave him money, and the day after that, he brings my money back.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
You know, I had a story like that. The guy that I knew he needed money. He asked me for, I think it was like $5, something like that. And I said, okay, this grown man, I know something's happened. And I gave him a 20. And he said he'll pay me back, I guess, I don't know, a day or two later. But months went by and he hadn't paid it back. But I felt in my heart it didn't matter, right? And so anyway, I moved away and been gone 10 years. And another neighbor that lived in the same apartment complex got in touch with me and said, Gina, this guy's been trying to catch you to give you back some money he owe you. I said, well, pass it forward. Yes. I don't know. What can you say? You know, but that was interesting. But I knew in my heart that man, he needed it and not to worry about it. And I didn't worry about it. But that was good to hear that he was trying to give it back. Day late, dollar short, but that's okay.
There's so many stories. Yeah.
That's wonderful, though.
And they are the true one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Only we should believe in that. We should believe in that, then will happen.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yes.
Okay, so we went through all. So it's without expecting any kind of payment, without demanding anything, without putting on a show, without displaying superiority, without expecting acknowledgement, without causing trouble. And see, all of these, I just say, you know, if it's meant to be, may God bless. I'd rather get my blessing from God because he knows more about what I need or what I will need next lifetime even. I'm good. So anything else anybody want to comment on?
That's right. But the first one, I think without expecting any money for any payment, some churches or some the organization, they make advantage of that. You know, they get the money from the others, but they don't pay when the people who really wants to help and they cut their work that they get money for the family. They need it, but they from the spirituality, they like to come and help in the church or in the spiritual organization, and the manager of that, they take the money for themselves and they don't pay that. That is, I don't understand that very easily. That is right. It should be that like that, because Jesus did himself too. That is the best sample for us.
Doing something in Christ means always doing the best for everybody. Everybody. That includes strangers, your neighbors. So your job, you know. So anything else? Anybody have any more comments regarding sharing and knowing? Gus, you got anything you want to add? Taylor? Did y'all fall asleep?
No, I'm here. I'm just listening.
What about you, Gus? You got anything? Oh, well. Anyway, Mosen, you want to do our closing prayer?
Okay. Thank you, God, for the nice time that we came together in your name. And we learned a lot about the giving away, about the helping the people, about loving the neighbor, about forgiveness. And that is what we needed. And we grow up in the wisdom that you gave us. And I thank you, especially for the night and for the sense that we had. And with your permission, we close the session. Thank you, God.
Thank you. Thank you, Mosen.
Look.
Okay. How do you stop this, Mark?
The recording?
I got it. I think. Stop
Good.
recording.
There you go.